G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be here working on the little 121 Metro with it coming into the cooler months with the vehicle. We've noticed with the heating and cooling sides of things, we found that the thermostat on the vehicle there is being held open. So in regards to having a thermostat that regulates obviously the temperature of the motor, trying to get it to warm up most efficiently as possible. In this case, the thermostat is stuck open in the vehicle, so it spends a long time cold and it never warms up. Didn't notice the problem during the warmer months because I never was using the heater. So since going to the cooler months or whatnot, it is now obviously playing havoc. This has adverse effects on the vehicle as well long term, because if the car stays cold with the more modern vehicles here, the car stays in a warm-up state, which will end up using more fuel down the track, emissions, all that stuff as well. So we'll go and drain the coolant out of this and we'll go and take the thermostat off it. Let's get it. Alright guys, so I've got the coolant draining there. Good tip there is obviously once we have the coolant draining out of the plug there, is once we're comfortable where the bucket is, we can just let the cap off. That'll increase the flow, emptying out the radiator a lot quicker there. So we'll let that drain. The thermostat on this vehicle is located in the top hose just up in here. So we just need to get underneath the distributor and then we'll pull the thermostat out. I'll see you on the other side. Alright guys, so I've just pulled the thermostat out of the Metro there. So you can see that's our thermostat there for the vehicle there. On the thermostat themselves, they'll have some information. So on this one, it'll have 88 degrees Celsius. So that is the temperature that the engine has to get up to for the thermostat to open. And this here is just a bleed valve there. So when you're trying to initially put coolant in, this float, so it'll sit up like that, and any air that gets trapped in there in the cooling system or the engine initially for the startup for bleeding the coolant, it'll bypass, let some air through that way as well. In this retrospect here, this thermostat is pretty knackered. It's all broken apart. And if you can see, I'll just turn the light on here. So as the coolant heats up, this little plunger here it lets it go down, opening up the cooling system. So with the torch there, you can see straight through the side there. This indicates our problem of the thermostat being stuck open. This thing is cold, obviously I can touch it. So that is our problem with our thermostat, where our new one is going to be a lot nicer. It obviously will stay sealed. It is a lower temperature one. It's an 86 degree one. That doesn't bother me for the climate that we're in. Also, there is other effects with these thermostats. Sometimes they can get stuck closed, which will cause an overheat concern on the vehicle, which can potentially lead to head gasket concerns further down the road. So out of any potential thermostat concern, having it stuck open is probably the best way. So we'll get rid of that. We'll put a new one in. I'll clean up the thermostat housing on here as well as the engine, and we'll put the new one in. I don't have another gasket to go on, so I'm just going to put some silicone on there and that'll seal just as fine. So I'll get that all done and we'll see you on the other side. Alright guys, so I've just installed the thermostat there. So that one is an 82 degree thermostat there. I've just got to clean up that gasket just up the top there. So with the bleed nipple, we've just got that facing straight up in the vehicle there, so it will help aid bleeding the vehicle when we put the coolant back in. So I'll clean that all up, I'll put the rest on. I've just put some silicone on thermostat housing there. These normally use a cork, not a cork, a paper type gasket. They didn't have one in stock, so I'm just going to suffice and use some Celastic. So I'll put it all back in and I'll catch you on the other side. Alright guys, so I've just got the thermostat all installed with the housing and everything there. Now with the Celastic there, that's got a nice amount of bead there, so it's definitely not too much Celastic in there. That's the correct amount. Obviously check the manufacturer specifications for the Celastic or whatnot. It will have it there for you if you have to use it. For a Mazda, it's about a 2 to 3 mil bead. So with it just poking out a bit there, it just looks factory. So that is all good. I'll finish putting the rest of the coolant hose back up and all the wiring back to the distributor and everything. And we'll start it and warm it up, do a coolant bleed. Let's do it. Alright, with that all put back together, we can now look at putting the coolant back into the radiator. Now, also with genuine hoses or good component aftermarket hoses, there's going to be white dots in relation to where they should be meeting up with certain components on the motor. So for instance, there's like a little dot on the thermostat housing, which lines up with a white dot on the heater hose there, or the coolant hose, sorry, for the radiator. So just bear that in mind for orientation wise. Just makes it easier in the long run when you're trying to, you know, fit all the hoses back into the car. So as the coolant's bubbling there, doing its little burps there, that's actually the little brass float there, the jiggler if you would. That's what's letting the air pass through from the motor to the radiator to the highest point. And we always want to make sure we're just checking to make sure there's no leaks. Alright guys, so I've just got the 121 running, so it's just going through its warm-up stage. I've turned the heater onto fan speed 2, going through the car. So I've got the coolant bubbling away there. Just while we're doing this, we're just going to be checking for any leaks. After we've bled the coolant a bit on that one, I'm just going to put the rest of it into the overflow because I know that's what came out of it. So once we get that all sorted, I'll put the cap on it, let it sit, let it build up pressure, and then recheck it for any leaks. So I'll let that go, make sure the heater works and temperature and all that works, and we'll go from there, guys. Alright guys, that wraps everything up for the 121. I've got it all sorted. This is the next day after, you know, in between the rain and all that stuff that I was having concerns where the thermostat housing wasn't sealing to the engine. As you would have seen in one of those clips where I was cleaning it with the wire wheel, I didn't have any gasket remover or anything like that, so I didn't scrape the gasket off all too well. So I was using the wire wheel, and that actually put some grooves into the sealing surface of the thermostat housing, which is less than ideal. That just comes down to lack of tools on my part, because obviously my tools for the job are at work, and I've just got some hand tools here. I put the call out to one of my good mates just up the road there. He had gasket paper there, so went around to his, pulled it all back apart. We got the thermostat housing. I just buzzed it all down, polished it all up, so I got rid of all the imperfections in the housing, and then we made a gasket to suit, and applied a bit of silicone on that, and that sealed up perfectly. I didn't film the process because we were too busy having a chat, a couple of beers, having a bit of fun while we were working away on the little car there. So I didn't get any of that. So I've taken it for a good drive. Everything seems to be working. So complaint course correction's been rectified now. So our complaint being that the heater wasn't working. The cause for it was the thermostat being stuck open on the vehicle, and the correction is us replacing the thermostat in there, putting the coolant back in, flushing it all through, making sure everything works. In regards to the thermostat, for testing wise, get your wife's favorite mug, put some hot water in that, drop the thermostat into that. Our thermostat is 88 degrees. The one that I pulled out, so you'll see at 88 degrees, if you were to put it to that temperature, you would see the thermostat open. If it doesn't open, it means that it's stuck closed, cause the car to overheat, and then you'll have, in due time, failure of the head gasket and all that other stuff as well. In this case, we had the reverse effect, which is just the thermostat was stuck open, making the car run cold. So in regards to that as well, so with these newer vehicles, the thermostat, so the computer would read that the coolant temperature is not rising, staying on the cold on the gauge. So what it'll do, it'll send off a signal to the PCM, or the ECU if you would, and that would tell the computer would tell the injectors to stay open for a little bit longer, this creating more heat in the combustion. Having those injectors staying open just for a little bit longer, trying to warm the car up. In the longevity of things, this will cause massive fuel consumption later on down the road, as the car always thinks that it's cold when ideally it's not. So hope that helps with diagnosing and all that stuff there for your thermostat. Also, with a side note, with the new vehicles as well, every vehicle pretty much now will be coming out with a coolant control valve. So what that is, it's literally as it is. It's just a control valve that allows the car to warm up even quicker, this bringing down emissions and warm up time on the vehicle as well. In case that does fail, since it is just a valve moving across, its default state is still a thermostat. So regardless if it was to get stuck open or close really, and the computer can determine the state of it being stuck, it'll just bypass that and run through the thermostat as it normally would, just to make sure you have a way to get home and you're not stuck on the side of the road. So with everything said for thermostats and how they work, brief sort of talk about or whatnot, I hope this helps you better diagnose, or if you have the same sort of cooling situation, that you'll be able to jump in and work it out pretty quick. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'll see you then. Cheers.